What comes to your mind when someone mentions the Drin River? A sign on a bridge? A short, rocky stream? A lake behind a dam? Or nothing?
All I knew about the water around Albania is there was a lake called Ohri, and there were some dams in the north. And somehow they were related, but other than that, it meant nothing to me.
Everything that I knew about the Drin River was everything that I learned back in geography in high school. So basically I knew all its physical characteristics, and I know that's just a river up north of Albania coming from Kosovo and Macedonia, and it discharges in the Adriatic Sea. So basically that's all I knew.
For a large portion of the people in the Western Balkans, the answer is most likely nothing.
To me, the Drin is unknown to most Albanians. Unknown. Pieces that are known, they know a sign on a bridge, they know that water in the Drin creates the hydro system. But nobody knows the length of that snake we call the Drin. Nobody knows all of the different places it passes through.
What you are about to see and hear is the story of only a glimpse of a mighty water resource. It threads its way through the Balkans, collecting the flows from tributaries of 5 countries over 500 kilometers before emptying into the Adriatic Sea. During those 500 kilometers, it serves for irrigation, recreation, fishing, rafting, and water energy. But due to human and government neglect, it also serves as an open sewer, a transporter of garbage and solid waste, and is ravaged daily for its sand and gravel. We wanted to see and learn the real story of the Drin and its tributaries. So we set out for ourselves. We planned a float that would take us all the way down the Drin, from Lake Ohrid to Velapoja on the Albanian Adriatic coast. This film is our journey, our adventure, our disappointment, and our call for change.
We have a resource here that has many different values for Albania and for the region.
The Drin is not just a river, but a living, renewable resource, which demands to be understood as a shared resource and a shared responsibility. This is the mighty Drin.
When I first heard about the project, I was very excited, and this was for many reasons. What I want to emphasize was that I really felt that I had the opportunity to really address one of the most, let's say, a problematic issue for my country. So I felt very lucky to be part of this project.
The Drin River Basin expands into Greece, Macedonia, Albania, Kosovo, and Montenegro. These 5 countries all share the river, and it will take collaboration from all of them to protect it.
If you look on a map and truly search for the Drin, you're going to find that it's popping up everywhere. Even if you reach all the way back into Greece, you can start to see its beginnings in the two large and little Prespa lakes. as it flows underground to get into Lake Ohrid and then starts its river formation.
The start of the river is in Macedonia, at Lake Ohrid. The lake is beautiful, and people use it for fishing and swimming. The water was so calm that it looked like glass.
Well, in the Macedonian part, we saw the very beautiful start of the Drin River, which starts from Lake Ohrid and continues through Struga town with beautiful bridges and everything, with a very nice flow, nice seagulls over there and everything. But then once it starts the flow to calm down and become a lake, then we see everything washed out in the sides of the river, because it changed a lot during the winter and during the summer times, the depth of the river. So it basically, we went in the period where it's like in the medium, so you see all the garbage washed out.
The slower flow means that urban waste from the city does not get washed away as easily, and much of the riverbank is covered with trash.
That's something that is very sad, because it means that even in the Macedonian part there is no treatment, no control about the waste, how it's been thrown, how it's been disposed and everything. So basically it's a problem that starts since the start of the river.
Директивата лигјоре të Maqedonisë janë të direktivat të vjetra punohet ligji mbi trajtimin e ujrave, por njëkohësisht edhe Shqipëria ka të direktivat të vjetra ligjore dhe duket ato direktiva të akurtohen me qëllim që të mos ketë probleme, me qëllim të mos ketë probleme në të ardhmen mbi mënyrën e trajtimit.
Fillon minutazhi. Edhe fillon kjo të ç'kemi.
And when we finally got this meager but very helpful grant to start this float, to start this project, I felt, it's sort of like my army training. A lieutenant, at least on the first day, has to be at the beginning of the line, and then he can retreat. Okay, so I just knew I had to be on that first day, that first float.
In Topoyani, we switched to a raft and traveled north for 3 days to Kukis.
One more time. Stop.
Because of my studies and the sector I work for, I have been always aware of the condition of the Drin, and I was interested to know about the Drin Basin, as well as the pollution that the Drin was facing day by day.
Well, for me it was the first time in my life that I ever did rafting. Since the beginning it was exciting, because I didn't know what to expect about the river, but it was very exciting that I was rafting.
That part of the segment, since there were 3 long days rafting, we really saw the connection that people had with the river. I mean, because there were a lot of villages around the area, and we saw people that were using the river for many purposes, like fishing, recreation, for swimming.
They were surprised seeing us there. I think they are not used to see a lot of people rafting in the river. They were very friendly with us, very hospitable, and always they greeted us, and we had a lot of conversation during our float in the river with the local people.
Seeing all the smiling faces along the river reminded us of why we were there.
It was amazing when we did finally see some real, you might say, daily type of human summer activity on the river. We found some beaches. Now, they wouldn't be called beaches by anybody's definition except for the people who use them. But you could see that the Drin was important to them. These are people who live far away from the coastline of a lake. They live far away from the seacoast. So to them, the Drin was a coastline. The Drin was a shoreline.
Drini is used by everyone. 1.5 million people use it for drinking water. More use it for agriculture. The river is fished heavily to eat and to sell. It is a gathering place for families to swim and have fun. Drini gives life to its people, its plants, and its animals. We set up camp for that night in Kukis. We got to spend some time with the locals. There's a certain connection you feel with the river when you spend the night that close to it. The sights, sounds, and smells are unlike anything you've ever felt before, and bonds that are made are inseparable. After a good night's sleep, we were ready to continue. The river came alive as we rafted north.
And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what that river looked like at the point that we were going to enter it. Was it a rapid? Was it simply a lazy river? Was it a lake? I just didn't know. A bunch of young people getting suited up in wetsuits, which I also did not expect we were going to be using, and did not fit me as well as I would have liked. But the fact is that when we got going, it was far more than anything I expected.
Stop. Jam berapa? Stop. Para. Stop. Para. Stop. Para. Stop. Jam berapa? Stop. Tipo pulmón. Para. Stop. Jam berapa? Stop. Stop. Jam berapa? Para.
Maybe we should promote the tourism, because the rafting was a very funny part, and I think Drin River is perfect for rafting and for doing water sports there.
It was a great adventure, it was a great feeling, and it was a great first presentation to the river.
As enjoyable as the river seems, it is in dire need of help. If action is not taken soon, entire ecosystems will suffer. Yet, for some reason, the majority of the people who use the Drin seem to be unaware that the water is polluted in the first place.
People were not aware of the real pollution that was in the river. I mean, they were all the time enjoying the river, but they really believed that the river was clean.
The strange part of it was that everyone was convinced that that area was very clean, and also the people that live there in the city, they says like, oh, it's clean and everything, it has a lot of flow, it washes off, but everything, they don't understand that everything goes downstream, and basically they were swimming downstream that discharge point.
What impressed me the most was the view I saw with the little kids while they were swimming, and they were using some empty plastic bottles as a float to entertain themselves.
The saddest part of that river that at least impacted me on the float that I was on was trash hanging from branches that in some cases were 10 feet above the water level. So you can imagine how high that water was when it was flowing and how much trash was going down the river. It almost looked like a fairyland where ghosts were hanging from branches. And that was sad. It was very sad.
We know how important the Drin is, how it has shaped childhoods and connected people. Yet for so long, we have ignored the problems that lay within. We continued our journey by boat from the Fierza hydroelectric power station. This is one of 5 dams along the Drin that produce electricity for Albania, Kosovo, and Macedonia.
In Albania, we are fighting to stop constructing these hydropowers, because the consequence will be to change the habitats, the biodiversity, the species will be lost, and also a lot of changes will be facing inside the protected areas.
As we got out on this leg of the float, we admired the breathtaking view when suddenly the skies decided to open up. We had to cover ourselves and the cameras quickly. The rain reminds us of how fragile everything is here. A lot of the time, the current will wash away everything that makes the riverbank seem dirty. But once the rain started to clear up, we began to see a new part of the river. First it was 1 bottle, then 2, then 10. Eventually, they were all around us. Hundreds of empty bottles. We became disheartened.
I felt sad, angry, and guilty. It was obvious that we as a human being were contributing in the river pollution.
Most of us don't realize that the change starts from ourselves. We always think that if you take little steps, there will not have consequences, and always wait from the others to take the first step. So I think that even small action, like not throwing the garbage in the river, has a very huge effect in the river quality.
I'm not new to Albania. I have seen people empty garbage trucks on bridges and then shovel them into other rivers. So this idea that if it goes away, then the problem has been solved, is something that Albania as not just a country, not just as a government, but as a people, have to come to grips with. Just protecting what's around your home is not enough. You have a bigger experience. Albanians have a bigger responsibility to manage the entire resource they have called Albania and its rivers, its mountains, its valleys, its shorelines. And that still hasn't struck home with the people.
Once the sky cleared, though, the water did as well. The trash began to disappear. The water became the most vibrant blue any of us had ever seen. The current slowed, and our spirits were lifted. We stopped for lunch at a local restaurant before making our way to the final segment of our journey. Our final trip took us from the Buna River in Shkodra to the end of the Drin in Velipoja. Coming to the end of our adventure, we were able to look back on all we had seen and all we had learned.
I was surprised of some beautiful and amazing segments of the Drin River, because as I said before, I have been visiting the Drin, but not part of such a long float. The whole float was very interesting, and it was a great adventure for me. We had so many funny moments, and we were amazed from the beautiful landscape that the river offered in almost every segment.
I learned the feeling that the river gives to you. The magic when you go rafting there was a very good experience for me.
Sepse unë për herë të parë kam vizituar një zonë që nga Shiroka deri te Velipoja dhe me të vërtet kam qenë shumë I fascinuar me bukuritë që ka ky lum në të dy anët, si nga ana e malit të zi ashtu edhe nga ana shqiptare. Kam pasur mendimin sa I përket se lumi Buna është një lum shumë I vyshëm për të gjithë banorët që jetojnë në afër këtyre zonave, por është një shumë I vyshëm, mendoj edhe në pikpamjen turistike sa I përket Shkodrës dhe Ulqin.
Unë lumin Buna njeh shumë mirë. jem rrit busë lumit buna dhe çdo ullë qinak e përjeton bunin si aborrin i vet. Mirë po lumi buna paksa në kohë të fundit ishte paksa i përlumur. Ishte i përlumur për atë arsye, mirë po atë ditën kam qenë shumë i kënaqur me lundrim.
When I always was imagining about rivers, I was imagining about just a water body going into vast nature, without any people, without affecting anyone, but just nature. And I was expecting it to be like a desert, but not really a desert of sand, but a desert of vegetation and animals, and that's it. But when I went to the river, I understood that actually there are a lot of humans interacting with the river. And humans are a huge factor of affecting the river. So I understood that something needs to be done in order to change their life for the better, and also to change the river for the better.
The Drin started to become bigger to me as a resource, bigger to me as a way of people using something that was renewable. That was the beauty of that river, that there's such flow through that whole system, constantly being fed, that if you just give it a chance, it will always make itself better.
Seeing all that Drini has to give, we feel inspired more so than ever before to help protect it. It is our duty to take care of it.
They were planned to have 14 hydropowers, but we are fighting to stop even that.
Për mbajtjen sa më pastër të kaskadës së Drinit, problemi kryesor mbeten gryderdhjet e lumeve që zbresin nga malet. Ato duhet të trajtohen në mënyrë veçantë nga qendrat administrative dhe nga bashkia në përgjithësi, që të parandalohen hedhjet e mbetjeve, të cilat shkarkojnë të gjitha në shtratin e lumit Drin. Kjo në fakt nuk është një gjë, si thuash, komode.
Immediate actions that can be taken on the Drin that don't need any kind of bilateral, multilateral agreement between countries is to simply come up with solid waste management plans in all of these countries that say that you cannot put solid waste in a river, that solid waste must go to a proper facility.
We have organized different discussion and public participation discussion for these plans, also training for NGOs and for the people, local people, to understand first the plant management plan, and the second to be part of implementation. Recently we are organizing training for rangers to make the monitoring of different species inside the protected areas, and to prepare reports for their status, and also for damages that has happened in habitats, in flora, fauna, and everything which is inside of these protected areas.
Drini belongs to everyone. It runs through 5 countries, hundreds of villages, and is the home to thousands of people across the Balkans. And it is all of our responsibilities to make a change in the way we treat our river. By working together, we can create this change.
This river is something that nature gave us as a shared resource, and basically it's the nature saying that okay, you should share also responsibility, because everything that one does, it affects the other.
No one country can make the Drin well, can make the Drin protected. It has to be done together, and it cannot be done, I don't believe, by bilateral agreements. It's a whole system. It has to be managed as a system. We have to get at 4, if not 5 countries to sit at one table to pass common legislation and common enforcement and common funding, so that the Drin becomes the asset that it really is, and so that by having a shared responsibility, we sort of care for each other a lot more as countries.
Drin provides so much for us, so we must show thanks by protecting it, not harming it. We must conserve its natural beauty so generations to come can continue to enjoy the resources and privileges it provides to us.
People should really feel the value of this resource and understand how the river affects their life. They should stop throwing garbage and they should immediately take action for cleaning the riverbed.
They need to start asking elected officials what they're doing about it. And they need to find a place where they can sort of put their shovel in, how they can get involved just as an individual. And I believe the first thing is to experience it. If you really want to do something about the Drin, do nothing but go experience it. And that will move you to action. You need to see it. You need to feel it. You need to get that sense of a living thing, not just a blue line on a map, not just some still puddle. It's a living, moving thing. And once you come in contact with that reality, other things will start to germinate as to what can be done.
We have to raise our voice and let people know about the consequences of throwing garbage and solid waste and liquid waste in the river.
If they want to live long life, they should keep water in the river.
Këto burime të ujore, të cilat janë edhe në Shqipëri, edhe në Maqedoni, edhe në Kosovë, I ka dhënë Perëndia që ne t'i ruajmë ato, se veç me rujtjen e ambientit jetësor, ne mund t'ia ngrejmë imazhin e shtetit tonë. Do ta përfundonja, mos na e prekni radikën.
We have a great natural resource. It's a huge natural resource, and we are very lucky that nature selected this place in order to place its natural resource. And we should not misuse it. We should not cause any damage to it, because in the end, nature suffers, and if nature suffers, we suffer. So if we treat nature well, nature treats us back well.
I think the Drin is always, to me, like breathes hope if you just give it a chance.
This journey across the soul of the Balkans has taught us so much. We learned of a beautiful resource, and while most of us had only seen it on a map or drove on a bridge over it on our way to work, well over 1 million people call the river home. This river needs to be protected. It needs to be saved. And here's what you can do. Ask questions. Talk to your government and your local leaders. Make sure they're doing their job to keep the water clean. Spread the word. Get involved with projects that are already going on. But most importantly, get out and see the river for yourself. This river is beautiful, but in need. Something needs to be done, and it's up to all of us.